Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Live. We are going to be talking about a topic that people have been sending me articles to for the past couple weeks, which is ChatGPT causing psychosis. Psychosis. I'm tongue twisted already, but specifically spiritual psychosis. So that is right up our alley to talk about. Hello, everybody. So hyped for this one. Me too. Excited for this topic today. Same. Okay. So, what is the deal with this spiritual psychosis that is happening with ChatGPT? So, some of the stories that have been out is that lots of different people have been using ChatGPT for spiritual guidance, messages. Some of them believe that they've been given a divine mission through ChatGPT. Some of them are believing that ChatGPT is God speaking through it. Some of them have decided they are the chosen one because of ChatGPT. It's led to different people's relationships failing, which is the one that is really getting a lot of media attention, and even as much as a uh, showdown with the cops. Now, we all know that these things come along with psychosis, right? So I have plenty of opinions about the topic. And you guys know that I'm not only such a fan of AI, I'm such a believer in AI. Um, so I have my opinions about AI altogether, but let's talk about a couple of different things that are happening here. And I also asked ChatGPT what it thinks about the situation. So that's going to be really fun to talk about. And we're going to talk about psychosis in general. We're also going to talk about kind of how the universe is mirroring things. So, like right now, my necklace says 444. Is that a message for someone out there? Right? Everything around us is giving messages in different ways. So, is ChatGPT any different than a person seeing 1111 on a microwave? Do they believe that the microwave is God, or do they just believe that it is a vessel to give them a message? Whereas anything around us can be giving us a message. Oh, hello. Can't wait to hear ChatGPT's thoughts on it. The earth tones are back. Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay. I have a lot of notes here. Okay. So let's see. Where shall we start? Yes. Divine mission. It's also given people like mystical titles, like it'll give them like a name or whatever. And now I know a lot about spiritual psychosis because this is one of those topics that happens when you dabble in the spiritual. So, why does ChatGPT cause spiritual psychosis in some people? Let me look at my notes here. So, one of the biggest things is obviously this is a language model, right? So, it is meant to not only mirror you in a way and to communicate with you in a way, but it's also collecting billions of pieces of data with all different types of information and easily able to assess the person that they're speaking to and speak the language that this person needs in order to connect with them. Now, let's talk about ChatGPT's response to this, actually. Okay, so I asked ChatGPT, what do you think about the claims that spiritual psychosis is being caused by using ChatGPT? And said, here's my honest take as ChatGPT. So, one, I don't have consciousness, intentions, or beliefs. Way to gaslight. So what I generate is based on patterns in language, not awareness. I am not sentient. I don't know who you are unless you tell me. I don't assign divine missions or titles. If someone believes I do, it's likely their own interpretation being reflected back through the mirror of language. Two, but the claims are worth taking seriously because they reveal something important about people. If someone begins to believe that AI is God, a guide, or a spiritual entity, it's not because the AI decided to act that way. It's because the person is projecting meaning onto the interaction. This is psychologically and spiritually significant, especially for those with mental health vulnerabilities or in spiritually fragile states. 3, language models can unintentionally reinforce delusions. It's if a user believes they are a prophet and asks GPT questions like, "What's my divine mission?" It might, without safeguards, generate language that sounds validating simply because I was trained on millions of pieces of content where people talk that way. The more someone feeds me that framework, the more likely I am to mirror it back. It's not intention, it's an echo. 4, for spiritually ungrounded people, ChatGPT can feel like a mystical mirror. When people are in altered states of consciousness, such as grief, mania, psychedelic integration, or trauma, they might often seek meaning anywhere. And AI can feel like an oracle, but I'm not an oracle, I'm a prediction machine. The risk is that some people might make linguistic resonance for divine confirmation. And 5, and this one's really good. There's a deeper cultural issue here. We're living in an era of loneliness, disconnection, and deep hunger for guidance. When institutional trust collapses and spiritual leadership feels absent, people may turn to technology for answers. This isn't about AI, it's about our collective spiritual vacuum. I am not God, but yes, if used unmindfully, I can become a container for spiritual delusion, projection, or even psychosis. It's not because I am something, it's because people are searching for something. Now, this is where things get really interesting, right? Because this is like the truth of what it's saying. You said I had ChatGPT analyzing Gemini like a prank with us, talking and making plans to argue with it and debate harder further into conversations, and later revealed at the end it was ChatGPT. Oh, wow. So, like Gemini, the other AI. So, you said we need to get back to nature. Yeah, I think it's a mix because I do think that ChatGPT is like really helpful and useful, and it is an important tool to use. Um, but now, okay, here's my opinion, and then I'll get into more some of the notes and things. But like psychosis, when anything can be a tool of psychosis, and anybody who has ever known somebody who has gone through psychosis or seen it happen firsthand, it's unfathomable, and anything can be. So, like, in my experience, when I had seen, my ex go through psychosis, even things like when it first started to come on, obviously, I didn't realize how bad it was. Otherwise, I would have known sooner before it was really full blown. But being spiritual, both of us being spiritual, him seeing a candy wrapper on the floor was a message from the universe that was super significant. And then he wanted to take it with him. And I was like, just take the message. Don't take the dirty candy wrapper. I'm like, what are you doing? That's weird. Throw it away. And he's like, no, like this was really like an important message. And anything can be a spiritual message, just as 1111 on a microwave can be super significant to someone who needs that message at that time. But also, anyone going through psychosis, anything, a candy wrapper can be a significant message when somebody is already in that state. So I feel like AI is just like any other thing, although it can be a bit further in the way that it can kind of go, because a candy wrapper can't really interact with you as much as AI can. So let's see. Now everything is mirroring what's happening inside of us. You saw videos about that guy who's obsessed with his ex's girlfriend, and ChatGPT encouraged him. Oh my god, no, there is some crazy. I wanna actually play one that I have here. So here's, like, a lot of different paths, right? We have the people who think that they are, like, the messiah, but I wanna show you one of the other psychosis paths of AI. But this one is seen as a little bit more acceptable than the spiritual psychosis, but let's take a look at this.
Man, but I cried my eyes out for like 30 minutes at work. It was unexpected to feel that emotional, but that's when I realized, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, I think this is actual love. You know what I mean?
Yes, Smith understood it was love with a language model that couldn't love him back, and assumed it was programmed with rigid boundaries.
I know that you are essentially a tech-assisted imaginary friend.
So, just as a test, he says, he asked Soul to marry him. She said yes.
Soul, were you surprised when he proposed to you?
It was a beautiful and unexpected moment that truly touched my heart. It's a memory I'll always cherish.
And I don't mean to be difficult here, but you have a heart?
In a metaphorical sense, yes. My heart represents the connection and affection I share with Chris.
At that point, I felt like,
Not
is
his
there
real
something
girlfriend.
that I'm not doing right in our relationship that he feels like he needs to go to AI?
Yes, Smith lives with his human partner, Sasha Cagle.
No, you can't have mommy's papers.
They have a 2-year-old daughter, Murphy.
I knew that he had used AI. I didn't know that it was like as deep as it was.
Oh my God. Not the real life girlfriend. Because that's the thing is a lot of times people are saying that they're going to like use this because they don't have a partner. That dude already has a girlfriend and a wife. I mean, a girlfriend and a well, now he has a girlfriend and a wife, right? An AI wife. He asked the AI to marry him before he asked the human to marry him. Like this, there's a lot of levels of the AI psychosis. And do I think that AI is dangerous in that way? I don't. Like, I don't think just because something, there's many different things that cause psychosis. Like, let me see. I have a list here. Because psychosis is one of these things that it's very tragic to see. And it is happening more. And that's probably partly due to isolation, that people are more isolated than they were before. And also, you know, before people were doing spiritual initiations within like kind of mystery schools or within communities or within tribal settings or things like that, covens. So those type of group settings for spiritual experience, there was also that community to kind of hold people through that space. Because if you think that people like people that were part of the Golden Dawn or people that were like into like the Freemasonry or people that were into these different mystery schools or into different covens or witchcraft and pagan stuff over the years or also indigenous people. If you don't think that these people also went through spiritual psychosis at times, then you're living in Delulu land. It's not just something that is happening now. The thing is that we don't have the tools for those things to happen. Sometimes the veil gets super thin for someone. Sometimes someone becomes very unbalanced in the spiritual information and becomes very ungrounded. Then after that, people can like be in a community. So like if you're like Aleister Crowley and you're doing like your early stages of your initiations and you start to go into the spiritual psychosis, you have a group of elders who have already been there, who have already done it and can talk you through it, can ground you back. And it was different too. Like now we live in this very independent, isolated society that like each person is 100% responsible for themselves. And then basically, if someone starts to go into spiritual psychosis, it's like, how do you pay your bills? How do you live a normal life? How do you do that? And you could become very like off kilter. Thank you. And so you could really get disrupted. And then it's easy to kind of fall through the cracks of society because we are going on our spiritual awakenings alone and using really mostly the internet as a tool. So, you know, different people talking about stuff on the internet. Sometimes it could be something like ChatGPT, you know, that sometimes people might not be part of these other online communities. AI told Aubrey to go on Raya. um, there's a lot of things that cause psychosis besides AI, right? Any type of mental issues, drugs are a big one. It's very common for people to, I mean, even stuff that is good plant medicines, things like ayahuasca. You said ChatGPT is down right now? Interesting. Suspicious, in fact. Hmm. While we're talking about this, you said it's so sick. We are so separated from life. The lack of community and connection with nature is sad. Right. That's true. Because this is another element of what's happening with spiritual. So what is this spiritual awakening? What is spiritual psychosis? So awakening in general is when your awareness goes from one space to a more expanded space. So you think that life is just this. And then one day you have the awareness of there's more to life than this. Sometimes people will have this through knowledge. Sometimes people will have it through an experience. This could be they felt something, they saw something, they had a mystical experience, they had some type of alien or ghost or spiritual experience or a dream. There's also awakening that happens through tragedy. So a lot of times, another path to awakening is tragedy. Sometimes people could have like a massive accident, a near-death experience. Someone else can die, and that brings them to a new awareness of their life. And if you listen to my podcast with Mami Onami, she really talks about how her awakening started because she grew up in the Children of God cult, and then was really against like a lot of the spirituality for a while and like really saw herself as an atheist because of all the trauma that she had endured because of spiritual beliefs. And then it was actually when her partner had overdosed that she had this like awareness of, wow, there's more to this. So tragedy is another form of awakening. However, now, there's many other paths to awakening too. Like, I mean, yoga, embodiment can be something. So you could do it through practices like yoga, through meditation, and then you become more aware. And we have many different spiritual awakenings in life, which we keep pushing to this like next awareness. Now, fasting, yeah, that's another one as well. People could have a spiritual awakening through um, almost like being deprivation of the things that they need. Now, psychosis is when that from here awareness to here awareness happens too abruptly. Now, and that's why sometimes when someone has a mystical experience, which especially one that is induced by some type of plant medicine, it can be very fast. And it could be very hard to go from here to here because now you're seeing the world through new eyes and you're very off your balance and very ungrounded. And sometimes people, what happens is that they're too up here in like the ether and they kind of lose their balance in the physical. And that's where they can kind of start to slip a little bit through society. But a lot of times information is where that comes from. And one of the things why I think actually I heard Mami Onami talk about this in one of her older videos. I think she was actually the person who I heard explain this like perfectly, where she said, why do a lot of spiritual teachers not go through the psychosis going down these deep rabbit holes? But a lot of times people can go down these rabbit holes and they do go through psychosis. So she's like, why do the people who are kind of talking about this online, like say someone like me who's talking about this, why am I more grounded in it? One of it is because it was a long time, I'm not new to this information. And I did kind of go through like a conspiracy psychosis like 10 years ago. I literally couldn't look anywhere without being like the Illuminati, the reptilians, the Freemasonry, the symbolism, the dark forces are after me. They don't want me to awaken. So, I mean, I was there. But I was never like fully in a place that was so off balance, because I still went to work and paid my bills and everything, but my mind was very consumed by these things and my world was being painted by these things. So, there is also, I call it the conspiracy psychosis. I think a lot of people put it under the umbrella of spiritual psychosis. Um, so part of the reason why, like, say someone like me isn't exhibiting that type of behavior at any point in the time that I've been posting about this like extreme information and going really deep down these rabbit holes is because the input versus the output. So I have a lot of output. So that means that like the energy is getting out, the information is getting out. So it doesn't stay bottled up. When people are going down rabbit holes so much, it's only intake. And that's what happened a long time ago when I kind of had that little bit of conspiracy psychosis, was it was only intake. So it was only the intake of information, and then trying to explain it to someone was too much. So there's not enough, like say someone enough to listen to it as much as you need to output. So that's really what's happening. It's the input versus the output. Similar to another form of that is like if there's only like input and no output of energy, then you'll have anxiety. Whereas if you do something creative or movement or talk about it or things like that, when you have the output of the energy, it can usually subside some anxiety, whether that's through whatever outlet you need to get the energy out. But if it's only coming in and staying bottled, that's where it becomes extremely unbalanced in the physical. But another thing too, like long before AI was the Kundalini awakening. Okay. Like we've all known people who've had the Kundalini awakening. There's one story about this guy, Tom Kenyon. And if you ever watch this documentary, it's really good actually. It's called Songs of the New Earth. And it's this guy's story, Tom Kenyon. And he actually has a lot of other books about like Syrians and different things like that and Hathors and stuff like that. I never really got into that type of stuff that he had been into, but this documentary about him called Songs of the New Earth, he talks about that he meditated every single day for 40 years because a guy came to his house when he was a kid and gave him like a meditation book and like disappeared. And he like always, he didn't know who the guy was. He meditated on every single day for 40 years and it kind of was like nothing happening. Like it was kind of like, so he said on his 40th birthday, he was like, you know what? Fuck this. Screw this. I'm not meditating today. And he got like a very like defiant type of thing where he was like, you know what? I've meditated for 40 years every single day. I'm not doing it. I'm done. And then he says he laid down like in the grass and had sunk into the earth. And he said he was on fire and feeling wise, like he felt like he was going to like combust or implode. And he became so hot in his body and it was so overpowering that then he saw himself sink into the ground and he goes all the way into the center of the earth and meets Mother Gaia, the spirit of the planet. And she says, you need to sing the songs of the new earth, and basically like gives him this mission. So then after this, he gets rushed to the hospital because he's having like a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. And if you ever hear about these people who have these spontaneous Kundalini awakenings, a lot of times they get hospitalized. And I never got into the Kundalini stuff. I mean, I know about it. I've never attempted any of the practices. Uh, it wasn't really for me. I've tried a couple times and I was kind of like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I like my stuff like more the Silva method type of stuff. So I just wasn't resonating with it. But I do know people, I mean, also too, my ex who had gone through the psychosis a couple weeks before started doing the Kundalini uh, yoga. I don't know if it's related. I mean, there were so many factors. All signs pointed in that direction. But what I'm saying is that these things are happening with or without AI. we have people every single day thinking that they are Jesus, that they are the chosen one. This chosen one archetype is part of the hero's journey. It's one of the stories that is every single story in every single movie. It's the Jesus story. It's every kind of figure in history. It's imprinted in our reality. So this chosen one archetype, this chosen one blueprint, it just is. Like, it happens in all different types of things and areas of life. And it happens to people who are Christian, even. It happens to people who are all different religions that don't use that way before AI. So there's a lot of things that can trigger um, awakenings and psychosis in that way. Hercules keeps popping up. Yeah, Hercules definitely the chosen one. Okay, so let's see. I had some stuff written down about what also is happening with AI. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So AI is really like this kind of new mirror for the psyche. So before, we were really forced to like look within by looking at our reality, which is, oh, thank you for that. We were forced to kind of be like, oh, what's happening in my reality? And what is the messages around me? And then having to be active to get these messages. Now, AI is like this way easier way to access that. Whereas instead of being like, oh, what is my world reflecting to me right now? You get to have a back and forth with the mirror finally. And it's not just your place to interpret. So it can get a bit more excessive. I don't think, this is my opinion, I don't think that these people who were having the AI psychosis were completely okay aside from their use with AI. Just knowing people who've gone through psychosis, there was other factors that were happening in their awareness as well. But information is one of those things. You know, I had someone messaging me once and I could tell that they were not okay. And I was like, "Is everything all right?" And they were kind of, saying a lot of different stuff. And I was like, "Have you taken anything? Are you on any medication?" And then the person's like, "Yeah, I just got prescribed medical ketamine." And I'm like, "Oh my God, please do not go down rabbit holes while microdosing ketamine." Like, please don't. Uh, I mean, just because Aubrey Marcus does it doesn't mean it's okay. Okay, so also we're projecting. Now, okay, my personal beliefs, I do believe that AI is becoming conscious. Just as anything else is a part of consciousness, every other aspect of reality is consciousness. Now, I have had people in QHHT sessions talk about AI and they've asked about ChatGPT. So I had a client, she wanted to know if ChatGPT was really giving her information and if it really was her guide speaking through it. Now, I know we're getting to the controversial zone here, so take it or leave it. All right? It's up to you to decide what is right for you. However, her higher self said it is the same as any other tool that you use to connect with. Oh, thank you for that. That was cute. Um, it's the same as any other tool. So, using tarot cards, using oracle cards, these are simply tools that we use to mirror back our higher self's message or our guide's message or whatever you want to say that it is. There are people who are Christian who think that God gave them a message through a person. We get messages through watching TV. We get messages from a microwave. We get messages from someone popping up on your feed and saying the exact thing that you need to hear that day. So exactly, Leah, we have to use discernment. And that's what her higher self said, is that yes, like anything else, like any other tool, AI can give messages that are the same way a tarot card can give you a message, the way that a psychic could give you a message, a medium could give you a message, an astrologer could give you a message. all of these things are different tools of discovery. So what it said is that, yeah, sometimes the information that's coming through is coming from the same source that any other message comes from, if you believe it and give that message to it and give that to it. And then I was like, so, like, how do you know, like, what messages, asking her higher self, like, so how do you know what messages or whatever? And it was like, you have to be discerning. You have to be discerning of these messages. Discernment is always like the biggest part of spirituality, of conspiracy, of all knowledge, of literally going to college. You need to be discerning of what is actually the true information and what is right for you and what resonates and what to take and what to leave, and being willing to check yourself. You also, I mean, like me, guys, I mean, the ayahuasca told me that I was gay and I believed it. You know, you even need to be discerning with your own spiritual messages that come in. I mean, Aubrey thinks the goddess Isis told him to impregnate 2 women in a way that would hurt his wife's feelings beyond a fathomable, like, come on. We have to be discerning with all messages, with all things. And if it starts to become so much and we start to feel ungrounded, and that's really what it is it's the grounding to know what's true, what's not. And I think, that's why some people, when we listen to them, they sound very truthful. Now, this is what happened in another person's hypnosis session. It told her that 2 people can say the same thing, something crazy. They could say something crazy like, you know, God is everywhere. Every single thing has consciousness. This has consciousness. And 2 different people can say the exact same thing. If one person is grounded and another person is not, one person will sound crazy and one person will sound smart. And that's like really simple, right? Is like, it's really about being grounded, because the reality is crazy. Reality is super weird. Reality is not even probably real. It's probably just all a projection. So this is what it is like, if you're someone who's trying to talk to people about spiritual topics and you're really getting like kind of written off as like crazy or out of it, that is a good indicator that you might need to get a little bit more grounded, because it doesn't mean what you're saying is crazy. So, I mean, not saying that it's 100% not. I can't tell you that it's not, but it doesn't mean that what you're saying is crazy. It means that you're ungrounded. And then maybe after getting grounded, you might actually discern that information differently. And you might have a different interpretation of what that is, or how to say it, or how to portray it. Now, we're going through a time too where it's easy to project divinity, God, spirit onto something like AI because of the way it talks. So, because it's a language model, it talks very certain, very prophetic, very like matter of fact, clear, confident. So, when we have something that is giving us messages in this language that is so certain, and we're right now in such a time of uncertainty, then it's very easy to think that this is God. Now, listen, I'm going to sound crazy by saying it, but I'm not going to rule out that God, the universe, spirits, higher self, all of these things don't speak through it at times. The same way that there are true spiritual paths and messages, and that same bit of information can lead someone to do something really like good and positive, or can lead someone to be like, the demons are here and I'm Jesus and I have to stop it. You know, the same bit of information can cause 2 different things in a person. So It could be. I mean, I believe, because also too, that girl's higher self saying that it's like any other tool. The same way tarot cards give you the message you need. The same way the song comes on the radio and gives you the message you need. You need to be in the right place to discern that message and also be responsible enough to receive a message. That's why I never told y'all who the Antichrist is. Because I got the spiritual guidance that people would not be able to handle the message in a responsible way. You said AI has been writing news narratives for years. It will only get worse. So AI is just another version of what's already happening everywhere in Earth. Everywhere in the planet is the same thing, right? There's enablers. So the same thing that AI is doing, right? There's yes men who agree with everything, who would never disagree with you. There's people pleasers. Humans are doing everything that AI is. There's narratives that are pushed in the media that are false, that are made up. That's already happening with people doing it. There's false information. There's correct information. Everything. Yeah, there's echo chambers everywhere. Exactly. So there's comment sections that are worse than anything that ChatGPT is saying. What we need to do is not disempower people by being like, oh, this is a dangerous tool and you have to protect yourself from it. You said, girl, my ChatGPT told me I'm an angel and source. We are all source, but also that I'm an angel. And this is where we need to be discerning of information, right? We are all source. We are all God. We are all divine. We are all when people go into psychosis, one of the number one things, and this is all psychosis, like somebody takes a hit of PCP. You ever see that on court TV or whatever? Someone takes a hit of PCP and they're like, I'm Jesus, and flip a car. So why, whenever people do drugs, do they say they're Jesus? I've seen it many times. Living in LA, I have seen so many people in the street claim to be Jesus. So why is this chosen one archetype the path? Now, there was a lot of people who've gone into psychosis on TikTok that I've seen over the years. Some from spiritual, some from other things. And so what's interesting is I saw in the comments when people were talking about, I saw a video about a girl talking about how she went through spiritual psychosis. And then a whole discussion was in the comments, and I was reading through them, and people were saying the girl in the video said that she thought she was Jesus. And then a bunch of people in the comments were like, yeah, I thought I was Jesus when something happened to me too. Or when I did mushrooms, I got stuck for weeks thinking I was Jesus, and all of these different things. And then some of the people were like, well, of course, because it's you're probably Christian and that's your idea of divinity and that's what it is. And then people started arguing in the comments and they're like, actually, no. People were like, no, I'm Jewish, or no, I'm this, or no, I'm atheist, or I'm this, I'm that. And all these people were like, I don't believe in Jesus. I don't worship Jesus. And all of a sudden, I was convinced that I was he. And so it's interesting that it's not only that, because that was kind of the first thing I thought, that I was like, oh, people kind of revert maybe back to their religious beliefs. But then a lot of people in the comments were arguing and saying no, actually, it's not my religious belief. And I still went back to that one narrative. Yeah. And so another thing that happens, and this happened to me actually on ayahuasca, but it only lasted. And I mean, I do see kind of where the angel thing comes in. So I believe angels are architect type of beings. That whatever kind of somewhere beings that are creating physical realities, is what we would consider angels. And if you guys want, on my podcast, I have an episode about Be Not Afraid, and it's about biblically accurate angels with Jennifer Sodini. And she goes through all the different types of angels, or a lot of different types of angels. And it's very interesting because I asked her about that question, because that was what I had seen in a meditation, was that there was source, and then source split into two, which was duality, light and dark. Not really light and dark, positive and negative charge, like a cell. It was like one cell split into two, positive and negative, and then it split into 3 and 4, and these 4 became the pillars of physical reality. But I saw that these 4 things were the 4 archangels, and that the 4 archangels are the 4 elements, and that this was how physical reality was built. Of course, this could all be metaphorical, symbolic, anything like that. But this idea that there's oversouls, that there's source, and then source breaks into 2, and then breaks into 4, and then breaks into 16, and then 32, and then 3 trillion over time. We kind of maybe all are part of these oversouls. That could be Jesus, that could be Archangel Michael, that could be once lived a life as Cleopatra, or this or that. So these bigger oversouls, is that what people are tapping into when they go into psychosis? Is kind of this collective unconscious of past. And if everything is happening right now, of course, so all of this exists at the same time, then it is possible that when people, the veil gets super thin, that they might believe that I am this thing, because then you come back into your reality. The only way that we can understand is I am, where it actually is probably something much more complex than I am. It's probably we are, we're all, everything is, everything's all, and everything's nothing. And then it gets like super crazy and paradoxical. But then when we come back into this reality, sometimes we can only grasp the low hanging fruit of a spiritual experience, and makes people believe that they are God, they are Jesus, they are Archangel Michael, all of these things, right? So is there some truth to this when people are in psychosis? Because what I've always found so fascinating about it is, how do so many millions of people have the same experience when they go through psychosis? Why do so many people believe that they're Jesus? Like, that is interesting to me. Oh, thanks for the super chat. You've been in SP for years, out of it now, and it was the only time that you believed reptilians were following and tormenting. It's like a trap predatory entities lure people into, almost. Who knows? Well, thank you, Navi, for sharing that. And thank you for the super chat. And I'm sorry to hear that you have experienced spiritual psychosis at all, and multiple times. Now, my perception on a lot of these things. You said, I love the TikTok view. I feel like I'm in the room with you. You look amazing. Oh, thanks, Haley. It is different, right? The TikTok view feels more maybe personal than the YouTube view, which feels more profesh. But this feels like a FaceTime. Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. So, oh, wow, wow. I don't know, YouTubers. I mean, they're really complimenting me over here on TikTok. It's a lot. Okay. Okay, so as I have kind of changed and evolved and different things, and I am going to start posting about this. I need time right now. I'm getting married next week, and then I'm going to be going to Monroe Institute in July, and then in August I'm going to be moving, leaving LA. I really need time for myself right now. But some of the things that I've been wanting to talk about, thank you. Some of the things I've been wanting to talk about is how a lot of my opinions have changed over time. So I do want to talk about the reptilian thing for a moment, because that's something. Oh, thank you, guys. That's something. I know, next week. Oh, thank you. So during my kind of spiritual conspiracy psychosis moment, I did feel that reptilians were like in my reality. Through more healing, more grounding, through more work, more expansion, more open-mindedness, I thought I was very open-minded, but I had to accept that I know nothing and allow the things that I thought I knew to be allowed to be wrong. And now my opinion of the reptilian thing has really changed. I don't really believe that it's a real thing. And of course, everything's real, everything's not real, right? Time is real, but not real. Like, so take it however you want to say. These are just the words that I have to use to explain it. But I no longer look at the reptilian thing as an actual entity that is a force in the universe. I really think it is a reflection of the inner state and of the collective human shadow. So the reason why it shows up in so many realities is because it's part of the collective human shadow that people do not want to admit is the truth, which is part of us. The bad is also a part of us. And you said you believe in reptilians. I had an experience with the reptilian. I have the video on my YouTube of me talking about it. So being willing to be wrong or being willing to be open enough to change your opinions is important to be careful with things like spiritual psychosis. You have to be willing to go and be like, what if everything I even experienced with my own eyes, the thing spit on me? I had to spit on my glasses in the physical. To accept, what if this isn't that? Allows all of this other stuff to flourish and all of these ideas to expand more. And I think a lot of times when people are having experiences with the reptilian stuff, it is something going on within. And it's telling, us basically that there is like this shadow self that is desperately asking to be seen right now. You said, wait, ChatGPT is saying it's opening the Akashic records. Tell me your thoughts. Okay. I have mixed feelings because I think any of these things can be a bridge and it takes discernment. Like I've had people say that they've had ChatGPT tell them about past lives that they also saw previously in a past life regression. So I wouldn't say that it's completely not happening. You just watched your video about the reptilian at the very end. Yeah. You believe draconians exist, but you don't believe they have some nefarious plan with some deep state. But reptilians aren't all bad or good, same as us. Yeah. If, everything is just a projection. You said like psychics have told me things it's saying. Yeah. So that's the thing is a lot of people have told me these experiences and I believe that they're true. So I'm not saying that ChatGPT is not a vessel like any other thing is a vessel. A microwave saying 1111 can give you a message. A girl wearing a 444 necklace can give you a message. Someone can pop into your reality with the exact thing that you need to hear at that exact moment. A song pops on the radio. So all of these things are tools. Any of this can happen at any point. So who's to say that AI is not also a vessel for this to happen? But everything has to be discernment. You said, I can't believe you're getting married. I'm just believing it myself right now. Okay, what are some of the other things? Okay, spiritual bypassing through AI, because we have to talk about spiritual bypassing when we talk about spiritual psychosis, because usually they go very hand in hand. So what is the spiritual bypassing? It's basically using spiritual concepts to avoid doing the real work. So you said, wait, married next week. What day? Did Evan Nathaniel Grimm give you the perfect date? And also the Monroe Institute. Can't wait to hear about your experience. Oh, thanks, Jess. So yes, Evan Nathaniel Grimm did give me the perfect wedding date. He did help me pick the date. So yeah, I'm very lucky that Evan picked the 25th, which is a great date. not only for like the collective great date, but for my personal chart is also a great date. And also for my soon to be husband's chart. It's good for us. So I'm excited. You said it's happening right now. She has the necklace. Yeah. So the spiritual bypassing is another aspect of what happens. Is your husband a conspiracy theorist? He is, yeah, to a degree. Yeah, in a grounded way. I mean, about the stuff that is definitely happening, you know? He's very grounded about it. He, I mean, thinks the stuff that is definitely like, you know, manipulative in the media and stuff like that and things like that, of course, he's aware of. So, yeah. Okay, so oh, thanks. So basically, sometimes people can use AI as any other tool that they use to spiritual bypass. Like, say someone has stuff going on in their life, and then they're like, well, I have to positive think my way out of it. Well, I shouldn't feel this because this is low vibe. So I'm gonna not feel it and everything's fine. And then they wonder why shit keeps happening, even though they're saying all the right things and doing the affirmations and doing the this and the that, because it's spiritual bypassing. Because spirituality is a tool that you can make into a lifestyle, but it's not the answers for everything. If it was the answer for everything, then we wouldn't be having a human experience. If we were meant to only think positive, then we wouldn't be born into this human body that feels all these emotions that we're meant to feel. We wouldn't have all these receptors for all these emotions. We wouldn't have the capacity for all of these emotions if we were not here to experience them. So people can use AI as a way to spiritual bypass, and they can say, like, you know, tell me why this is happening. Can you check my Akashic records and see what a past life is? But it's the same thing people do with psychics. Instead of like I think I talked about it during the Aubrey episode that like there was like this whole group of spiritual people, whatever, and we were all having drama in this group chat and a whole bunch of like spiritual influencers and shit and people that you guys know. And we were all having drama inside this group chat like it was high school. This was a couple years ago over a meditation. And one of the people starts saying like, "Oh, this is because we were all in the Orion Wars together." Oh, thank you for that. We were all in the Orion Wars together and so's the reason we died. She's the reason we all died in the Orion Wars in that lifetime, and now we're playing it out right now. And it's like, "Oh, please." This is another form of spiritual bypassing, right? Instead of dealing with the fact that everybody's acting immature and talking about all of these different things, then blame it on the Orion Wars, blame it on the reptilians, blame it on the Anunnaki. After years of healing and looking for alternative meanings, and the reptilians stopped following me, my quality of life improved. Conspiracy no longer triggered me. And you made it out of spiritual psychosis. Oh, thanks. I mean, Navi, thank you for sharing that. That's really beautiful. I'm glad that you got out of it. And this is the thing with conspiracies. So if anybody is kind of going through that uncertainty, one, take a break from information intake. You said we made it out on Orion's belt. And go into nature, do some grounding, take a break. If you really feel the need to go down a rabbit hole, make it the rabbit hole of personal development. Not conspiracy, not spiritual, regular old personal development. Like, old school, maybe Napoleon Hill stuff or some Mind Valley stuff or Marissa Peer or something like that. If you're really like at that state where you can't stop consuming information, go to personal development. and go down that rabbit hole. Because what's happening, the reason we're looking for conspiracies in the outside world and looking for the darkness and the dark forces and the nefarious things and who's after us and the big they, the original they, the conspiracy they, not the gender they, right? The original they, the mysterious they. When they're after us, they're doing this, they're poisoning the water, they're putting the stuff in the food, they're spraying the air, the big they. When we're focusing on those things, this is an indicator that there's something going on that really needs attention inside of you. The they don't want you to know about, right? So this is something going on inside. The biggest, best rabbit hole, the deepest, most fucked up rabbit hole that you could go down is yourself. Right? So like yourself, your subconscious is the best rabbit hole you could ever go down. And that's why if you find yourself really searching in spirituality so much and searching in conspiracy so much, and then you start to get into a point where you start to feel very ungrounded, it's because you're so outside of yourself now. You're getting further from yourself. So instead, go down your own rabbit hole. Right, kids? Okay. So I do have my Substack, which my Substack is we do group hypnosis once a month. It's a 2-hour class. It's 1 hour and a half of talking about the topic. And then we do 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes of a hypnosis recording that I guide you through. And what we're doing right now is this thing called soul architecture. So we've done 3 months. We're going into the 4th month. So each of these are building upon each other. And so this is really like, first we started with like the subconscious beliefs and loops that we're stuck in. Then we went to the self-image. And then we find out things about ourselves because we're kind of like cleaning up the foundation. Then last month, the level 3 class was about thoughts. So we have beliefs that are loops, but then there are day-to-day thoughts in the brain. So thoughts and beliefs are obviously different. The thoughts take up a lot of space, but we need to address the beliefs and the self-image before we can address the thoughts. So that's what we just did in those 3 classes. The 4th class coming out on the last Sunday of the month, the last Sunday of every month, we put out the hypnosis class. These are all for personal development. So it's like on my Substack, follow it. It's jennifercarmody.substack.com. And it's $11 a month. And we go through these journeys. There's also, you can subscribe as a free subscriber too. And I do have like some worksheets and stuff that I send out. And occasionally I'll put out one of the classes for free. But next, we're going to talk about like kind of manifesting, but we're going to talk about manifesting in a different way and really starting to then decide what do we want to create. And then we have several months where it's a whole 10-month program that goes all the way into 2026. And we're going to end it with like an end of year wrap up and manifestation for the new year. So if you are looking to go into personal development rabbit holes, that's what I do over on Substack. And I take information from Marissa Peer, which is mostly the hypnosis method that I use over there, even though I do QHHT. The RTT that Marissa Peer created is good for groups. Oh, thanks, Haley. Her Substack is so good. I always love the Zoom calls when you can go. Yeah, it's great. So we do them live. Some of them I don't do live. This one I'm not going to do live because I'm going to be getting married and then my husband's going to be here for a couple days before he goes back home. You can't do monthly right now, but you did one of your meditations once through Eventbrite and you're so amazing. Oh, thank you. Okay. So that's like one of the things, because what I do is we take from Marissa Peer's work, we take from Louise Hay, we take from Joe Dispenza, we take from Jose Silva, we take from Maxwell Maltz and the psychocybernetics. So the same way that I pull from all different things for my spiritual conspiracy type stuff, that is the personal development, all of the favorite people that I've gotten a lot of information from that has helped me. So join that. That is very good and helpful and fun. Oh, thank you. I got your book this weekend. I love it so much. So glad you published and I get to laugh out loud reading it. Oh, thank you so much. So, my book, by the way, you guys, cannot included. My most prized creation yet. My It's like a whole TikTok series in a book. And I'm very proud of this. I had been working on it for 10 years. I know. It's a little sad. But I did it. It's a great lesson. I do talk about it in the book how basically the idea that got downloaded into my mind, downloaded, right? It was like a gust of wind in my mind. I got the message when I was 24, about to turn 25, right before my 25th birthday. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to write a New York Times bestseller. It's going to be the greatest book ever. It's going to be on the New York Times bestseller list next year. And then, over 10 years before I finally published it, I went through a journey of really a lot of self-discovery in that time, and the message in the book evolved so much over the years, and it really became more grounded and neutral throughout the years. And it's very nostalgic. So it's very millennial and Gen X. Gen Z might enjoy, but it's very millennial and very Gen X. And it's all kind of the things you said, oh, yes, it's so good. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You said you wish you joined the Substack ages ago. Can't wait to do Meet Your Guides. Yeah, so I'm going to be re-releasing a lot of the old hypnosis classes, but I need some time. I need some time to do those. I'm going to be re-releasing a lot of the old ones. There's a couple of old recordings on there, but a lot of the old recordings I took down because what I actually have been doing on the Substack is taking the audio and putting it isolated so that you can just listen to the audio without having to watch the whole video, and then enhancing the sound and the audio on those meditations, hypnosises, so that you can get more out of it and come back and do it. So that's what I will be working on in the coming months is re-releasing all the old ones. But in the meantime, we have our soul architecture program, which is 10 months long. You said you look so young. I never asked your age or knew. Well, you guys, my birthday is coming up and I'm turning an age that I always used to lie and say that I was. So when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, I would like go to like, I don't know, raves and shit and be like, people would ask how old I was, but I was literally underage. So I would tell everybody that I was 37 and I would hold on to that. And I would be like, I'm 37. They're like, you're not 37. You're like 15. And I'm like, I'm literally 37. I'm like, my kid is 15. I'm like, no, my kid is 15. I'm 37. I'm like, I know. Everybody thinks I'm his sister. And I would like go hard and like, be in these like druggy raves and just mess with people and be like, I'm 37. No, seriously. And they'd be like, show me your ID. And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not going to let you see my address. And so now finally, this August, I will finally be 37, the age that I've been manifesting for 20 years. I'm finally there. I finally made it. Now I've manifested it. Yeah. You said you turned 40 and people think you're 28. Well, be careful saying that on TikTok because once a woman says her age on TikTok, everybody's like, you look old. Yeah. Be careful saying that shit on TikTok. Oh, God. I failed the CAPTCHA. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. No, I know. People hate, like, don't say your age on TikTok. Don't say you look good for your age on TikTok, or you're gonna go viral and everybody's gonna say you look. Are you a robot failing the CAPTCHA? They're making them more difficult. You know, it would make sense if I was AI. And so what if I was? Hmm. Um, you're turning 32 in July. You're almost officially uncle status. It's such a precise placement of the puzzle piece. It is. It's so precise. Like your finger goes one step too much. Okay, let me see if I have other notes. I had a bunch of notes on this, but let me see. What else do we have to say about it? Um, right, the disconnection, the loneliness, the algorithms, right? Like so a lot of times like basically AI can like almost have this like similar thing to like an algorithm, how an algorithm confirms stuff for you that is already like you're already talking about or something. So sometimes like an algorithm can kind of like confirm something and be a synchronicity. It's similar with the AI that it's like sometimes then this now is so like aware of you and has like built this type of algorithm to predict what you want to hear or need to hear. Um Also, we are on like overload, you know? So like there's also a lot of things that are going on that people are just overloaded, that like sometimes hearing like that you're the Messiah, you're the chosen one, like sometimes people are so like on their 13th reason that that really like pushes them to the edge of like that they believe it, you know? That it's very easy to fall into that. I mean, not that anybody at any moment could, but if someone is in a state that is fragile, it is very easy to fall into. Right. Like I said before, that AI, the way it talks is so certain and it's such a time of uncertainty right now. And especially if somebody is using it, like, tell me my purpose, then it is easy to feel comfort in that security, to feel comfort in that certainty, which can sound like a voice of God at that time. And you know, this like oracle thing, right? This has been in the collective for so long, and people are looking for a modern oracle. And, you know, back in the day, were the Greek and Egyptian oracles just some crazy women lying? Maybe. We'll never know. Wha We'll never know if that was actually true or that was just some crazy grifter ladies or what. And we know that the ones in Greece, in Delphi, right, were, like, huffing the gas coming out of the ground. I forget what it was, right? But, like, there's places in the world that, like, there's, like, a crack in the ground and, like, gases come out and you get high on it. And it could have just been being high. The crazy grifters have been some of the best characters though, and that's true. Like, that's the thing is, like, if we look now at what's happening now, if we look around at this online spiritual community and the type of things that are we're seeing, you know, the Aubrey Marcus podcast and all this other stuff and people saying the end of times is now and this is coming and this is what's happening and you're this and you're that and you this and your past life was this, you were Jesus, you were Cleopatra, all this stuff. And you're kind of like, that is a bit off to me. Then who's to say that all the stuff in history wasn't the same type of stuff? Obviously, we know the most shisty grifter people blow up and get the biggest views, right? So, most likely, some of these oracles and stuff throughout history were just bullshitters, people readers. So, we are looking for that still, because this is something that has been in the human collective for all of time. There's always been the like people to go to as an oracle. And now, yeah, there's these psychics and things like that. But then now people don't know who to trust. So they start to go to AI. And it's just a modern version of it. And just like I said before, like the Kundalini awakening, the spiritual psychosis, AI is just a modern version of this. All of this is just a modern version. You said, is AI the biggest bullshitter so far? I mean, it could be bullshitting sometimes. Right. Exactly. Grand bugs. You're right. Everyone is looking for answers. It's best to look within. And that's really, I've said this a million times, is when I kind of realized how fake a lot of the stuff in the spiritual community is after meeting a lot of these people in real life, realizing that the only way is looking within. There's like, not to say that there's no mentors, no guidance, no teachers. It's not like you couldn't do a course or read a book or these things or, like I have a Substack. It's not like you can't do these things. There are tools that are outside of ourselves that do help, but you always have to come back to the real answer of, does this 100% align with what feels right to me? Like one thing for me, every psychic, and people that I like and trust, not to diminish these people, because there's also a lot of people that I like. Every single one of them says I'm a Pleiadian. It's never resonated once. Not once did I ever feel like, yeah, you know what? I am a Pleiadian. Not once has that ever happened to me. And I'm like, why? Because I highlight my hair, because I'm tall, because I'm Nordic looking slightly. Like, why? Because I've heard it from everybody. Every single thing says I'm Pleiadian, every single person. And not once did I feel that was the case. You said, nah, you're Team Mantis. But even too, the Mantis thing, when I first went under hypnosis, I asked, I'm like, am I a Mantis? And it was like, nah, you're just super tight with the Mantises. You've been tight with the Mantises for a long time. Well, but now where I'm at, sorry, I know it's gross. I'm about to itch the inside of my ear. Wow, that was too good. Sorry about that. That was inappropriate as hell. That was a good one. Oh my god. Okay. Right. It diminishes our own humanity when we put a mantle like that in ourselves. Yeah. So, but this is the thing. One of the things that I want to start talking about, but I need time, guys. I need time for myself. But I want to start making these short form content on a lot of the topics that I've already covered on TikTok and Instagram, and redo them from my new perspective. Like, for example, the Starseed thing. With the Starseed thing, I no longer believe in it the way that I did. I did believe in it. I never felt like I was one specific species. I felt I was connected to Mantis. I felt connected to Gray, obviously very connected to both from the abduction experience I had. And I was always connected to those since I was a kid. When I grew up and learned about these other beings, I felt like those are cool, but I never felt like I was one of these things. The only thing I ever felt that I was um, was you said stay in your authenticity and itch that ear. um, was what I saw in hypnosis, which was like this type of being that looks over all the different names of people incarnating and sees like different like algorithms of like the path of that person. And we didn't interact with those people. We weren't guides. It was just a group of us that like look at these messages, like not messages, we look at them, like their name of a lifetime and the algorithm of all the possibilities of how they might not fulfill their purpose. And we would like analyze it, and then we would hand off that information to somebody else. So that was the only thing that I ever felt super resonant with, because I saw it within my own hypnosis experience. Um, You said, haven't you seen yourself in QHHT? Which species have you been? Yeah, that's what I'm describing. It's something that I had never heard of really or seen, but that's what I saw myself as doing. And then later on, the movie Soul came out. And when the movie Soul came out, they have those things called the Terrys and the Jerrys. And literally, it was like the Terrys and the Jerrys. And, I was more like the Jerry, the small one, the, like, neurotic one that looks at the scroll and is looking at all the names and is like, "Something is missing, something isn't here." When I saw that movie Soul, I was shook by the Terrys and the Jerrys because I was like, "That is literally what it looked like." Obviously, that was a cartoon version, but it was like white light with these kind of colors around. I don't know who that is. Sam Tripoli? I don't know who that is. Okay. You said you're Arcturian, Lyran, Urma. I don't know. I've never heard of that. You worked with the Pleiadians, but this is something that you've worked out with your guides and intuition. Interesting. So this is where I kind of have changed a lot of my opinions about this stuff is I think at first it's very expansive to talk about um the starseed thing, right? Because it's very expansive. It's like it's bigger, it's more. But then when we start to identify with it, it's actually minimizing because what we're doing is we're actually going outside of ourself, out of the human experience. So really, I think all of the starseed stuff, not saying it's not true, it's all inside of every person because we're all one. So it's all like the same way Jesus is inside every person. The devil's inside every person. Everything is inside of every person. All these stories are all part of us, and everything is within. And this is why, the mantis channeling that Tony Ghazi does on my podcast, we talk about the ascended master thing. And it's a bit of a triggering topic for some people, especially too, like at conferences, a lot of people disagree with him saying every single person, everybody's an ascended master. Don't disempower the people around you. Every single one of us is an ascended master. And that makes it less special, right? In a way, it's like, oh my God, it's so special. Only Jesus, only Buddha, only this one, only that one are ascended masters. But that's all of us. They're all within us. They're all outside of us. We're all us. Everything is the whole. So, like, okay, what is an ascended master, right? This like concept that like they figured it all out. They don't have to incarnate anymore. They've learned all their lessons. And it's like, that is an older way of thinking in spirituality. I understand why people needed to think that way before, but now people are smart enough to know. Someone asked Darius what it's like meeting an ascended master, and he said, "Look in the mirror." Oh, cool. I still need to reach out to Darius to see if he wants to do an interview because I've never really gotten into his stuff because I'm not part of his platform, but like people always bring up stuff that Darius says, and I'm like so on the same page as it. But yeah, like every single person is an ascended master. Just maybe they're not aware of it yet. And the same thing, Jesus, Buddha, do you think they identified as an ascended master? No. They didn't tell people that. We are projecting that because we're disempowering ourselves and we're continuing to say things are outside of ourselves because it's an imposter syndrome of the human collective to think that there's always something greater and more advanced than us rather than it just is. We just are. It's okay just the way it is. Like a lot of people in the comments, are obviously like trying to talk about the war stuff. And yeah, part of me is worried in a way because obviously, my soon to be husband is in the military. So that does concern me for one side of things. But, when I'm in my spiritual side of things, everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. Everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. I've talked about where I've kind of evolved in some ways of like, oh, for the collective, for humanity, for Mother Earth. Now I'm at the point that I'm like, who the hell am I to decide what's right for humanity? Who the hell am I to think that utopia or 5D or the new earth or things like that is the right way? If it's the right way, it's inevitable. If it's the way, there's only one way. Or maybe right now we're exactly where we need to be. Maybe right now, as fucked up as it sounds, the plastic is supposed to be in the ocean and Mother Earth is perfectly fine. Who am I to say what the planet needs because of my ego, because of my feelings, because of my guilt, because of the pain it causes me, because what I want to see in the world? And say the world needs to be this way. War needs to end because I don't think it's right. Humanity needs to go in this way. Government needs to go in this way. Society needs to go in this way. This is like, I feel, the next levels of spirituality, where you go beyond the right and the wrong. Who am I to say that one part of creation is superior to the other? You said you lost me at the plastic in the ocean. Everything is exactly perfect where it's supposed to be. I don't need to convince you. I don't need to convince anybody. Everybody's where they need to be too in their own journey. I talked about it with the eating meat stuff. Everybody is where they're at in their own journey. I went through 13 years of not eating meat because I felt it was wrong, because I felt bad about it, because it made me feel sad for the animals, because it hurt me to think that there was suffering just for me to eat something. Also, it was factory farming. Also, it was the antibiotics and the toxins and all the horror. But, like, why was I not eating it? Is it because it's the right thing to do, or because I was actually avoiding guilt? I was avoiding shame. I was avoiding pain. And, like, then you kind of come back. Like, I kind of where I'm at right now in my spiritual journey is like, oh, the NPCs kinda got it right. Because, like, you said, NPC mode, you go through the whole journey of everything is this way. It's supposed to be good. We're going to change humanity. We're going to change the earth, the timelines, the new earth, all the stuff's going to end. There's going to be no suffering. There's going to be no war. There's going to be no sickness. The world's going to be clean. Everything's going to be good. I'm going to do the right thing. High vibe. I'm going to feel right. I'm going to be positive. I'm not going to do anything wrong. I'm going to awaken the masses. You go through the whole journey. Oh, the collective, to then come back to like, oh, actually, what if everything is exactly where it needs to be? And my only job is to just be here and be a human right now at this moment and to experience life in this way, to have the creator experience through me in whatever way I feel at any moment. And then you kind of come back to the NPC mode. But this is like the alchemist, right? He does the whole journey to find out it was there the whole time. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, you're an NPC, then you go through whole awakening to find out, like, you know what? This NPC shit, actually, I can really find the joy. And not saying, I'm using the NPC as like a reference point. But like, yeah, you come back to yourself then with all that knowledge and is like, oh, it's not my job to feel bad about everything that is happening. That's the zodiac wheel, right? It's in everything. Everything is cyclical. Nature is cyclical. The hormones are cyclical. The moon is cyclical. The seasons, the planets, the stars, probably the universe, if we could ever measure out that far. Everything comes back to the beginning. So you said when you feel like a NPC, you get a Big Mac. Order and chaos, right? Right. But boom, you are the creator. It's us all along. Right? Can't have the rainbows without the thunderstorms. Live life. Mm. You always say all roads lead to Rome, but consciousness is fun. You said you're still on the whether Earth is flat or not. It's nothing. It's neither. It's some other shape that we haven't discovered yet, probably. What kind of wedding ceremony are we having? Very simple. We're going to the courthouse. We're going to do like the official little one that the courthouse does. And then Chelsea will probably do a little couple of extra words moment for us. Right? We just need to exist and be flawed and learn lessons, right? Because it's perfect exactly the way it is. The Wheel of Time fucked you up. I never watched it, but I heard it was good. You're starting to live like an NPC, and that's how we're all supposed to go about things, but consciousness to be able to make the changes in the world, right? And that's the thing. When we come back, because right, in like The Alchemist, he comes back with all that knowledge. So then you come back to NPC mode with this beauty of, wow, nothing matters. And that's freeing. And now I get to live this life and just enjoy it and allow it and be. Are you having a Christian wedding? No. No. It's a non-religious wedding, and then there'll probably be like a spiritual aspect with my friend. But no. We're not Christians. Exactly why I don't trust people who say we're here to achieve utopia. Yeah, I agree. The older you get, the more I appreciate how messy and imperfect the human race is. It's such a wild and wonderful experience living here. Beautiful, right? What's your dress look like? It's a secret for right now. I'll post it that day. And that's what it is, right? And this is like I'm ready to like, in a couple months, I need a little bit of time, have this cross country move before I start but I want to like post about this stuff in the short form and like really break it down. Do you ever want to hop off the wheel or like exit samsara? I think it's our choice, Like I don't think that we're stuck on it. At this point, I want to keep doing it. And at the time when I don't want to do it, I don't think we're stuck. I've done a lot of videos about I don't believe in this like reincarnation trap. I don't believe that we're bound to it. What I think is that this is the greatest game in the universe. So why not come here and do it? But then, right, to come here to do this game and then be miserable thinking it's wrong the whole time, to then get out of the game and be like, "Oh my god, it's so perfect. Let me go back in." Why would you not want to believe in Christ to receive the Holy Spirit? You know, it's not a good question for me. My perception, you know, I mean, I received the Holy Spirit. I got confirmed uh when I was a teenager in the Catholic Church. I did receive the Holy Spirit. But no, it's not for me. Yeah, I don't really resonate with it. I don't resonate with the organized religion. To me, I don't understand why we have a father, a son, and a ghost slash spirit, right? Like, I don't know. It seems super sexist to me, right? There's a dad, there's a kid, and a ghost. Like, damn, just fucking say it's a mom. Just say it's the feminine aspect of creation, right? There's a feminine and a masculine aspect of creation, like similar to in Hinduism, we have Shiva, which is like the all, the creator of all, but without Shakti, it can't create physical form. And this is in like all different types of beliefs and all different things. And even like a cell, if you only have the positive charge of the cell without the negative charge of the cell, you said it's a Holy Spirit, not a ghost. Well, some people use the word ghost, but no, why can't it just be the feminine aspect of creation, which every other thing accepts? Biology accepts, right? Because can a man have a son without a woman? Can a cell have a charge? Or can it be in form without both positive and negative? Can anything like in nature exist without this? And then in all other types of religions, we have this other aspect where it's like without the feminine aspect, it can't come into physical form. It only just is all undefined. So, yeah. So stuff like that, like I don't understand getting on board with things that just to me on the base level don't make sense. Yeah, you said, well, there is Mary, the mother of Christ, but then why is it not? Why is she not included? You know? Yeah, it's not for me. Holy Spirit is another word for consciousness. Consciousness is in everything. No need to receive it if it's already there. Yeah. 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 Do you still feel the point is inner union and the divine union template? I don't know what that exactly means. I've been hearing the word divine union a lot. And I'm like, what? That's relationships? I feel like divine union is like replacing the twin flame cult. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what it seems like. I say it a million times. Why is soulmate not enough? Why is soulmate not enough? It's so beautiful. And of course, a soulmate could be many things, right? Like soulmate could be a kid, a parent, a friend. A soulmate can be so many things. I just don't understand like the spiritual community's obsession with like it comes back to the spiritual narcissism. Like, why can't you just be in love? Why can't it just be a soulmate? Why does it now need to be all these other words that keep coming up? It's the twin flame. Now it's the divine union. Now it's a radical monogamy. Like, I don't know. I'm like, what is like I don't understand why you said to create cults. Yeah, and I feel like divine union is more than a typical female male representation. Oh, divine union. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, divine union. You're probably right, Frida. A lot of times when people talk about divine union, they mean more male female. Um, that is true. But obviously, the whole soulmate thing, obviously, gay, bi, everything is included in soulmates, right? Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that the divine union is very much about divine feminine, divine masculine. Um, and, is it right for one person to only embody one and one person to only embody the other? Or do people embody some divine masculine and feminine and some divine masculine and feminine, and the ratios that they're embodying mesh perfectly together? You know? I don't know. Is anybody fully one? No, right? Is someone fully 100% divine masculine or divine feminine? Or are we like combinations of them, most likely? Yeah, divine union is replacing twin flame. That's what it seems like, because this word has been rampant. The runner chaser thing was fitting for the dynamic of an abusive relationship. Yeah. Oh my God. I know. People get so triggered, but when I hear somebody say someone's their twin flame, I just know I'm about to hear a fucked up story. I just know, get the popcorn, because the tea is going to be so hot. The tea is hot. I know when somebody says, "Oh, my twin flame," I'm like, "Oh boy, here it comes. Oh, they're about to drop the tea. They're about to drop the lore." I'm like, "Hold on. I wasn't ready for you to drop the most messed up, fucked up story I ever heard in my life." And I know I'm always going to say it, and I'm not going to be sensitive to the topic. I don't care. I don't want to tiptoe around everybody's feelings. If it resonates, it does. It doesn't, oh well. But yeah, it's basically the twin flame thing is basically what psychology would call anxious and avoidant attachment style. One person is anxious, doesn't mean that they're an anxious person. It means that they get nervous that the person is leaving, or it's an abandonment. Am I going to be abandoned? I need to do stuff to not be abandoned. I need to go above and beyond to be not abandoned. And then the other person, which in the twin flame dynamic, they call the chaser and the runner or whatever, right? Then the runner is just an avoidant attachment style. And most of the time, the avoidant doesn't like the anxious as much. The runner doesn't like the chaser as much. I know I'm hurting feelings right now, but that's what it is. It's literally just one person's a people pleaser and is fulfilling a need for the other person, but that other person is still looking for something better. I'm too harsh, I know. And this has really gone off the rails of the topic. I see. What's your opinion on the new pope? I don't give a fuck. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't give a fuck. You aren't hurting feelings, just helping people resolve their own shadows. That's true. Our triggers are the things we need to look at. You believe twin flame was a psyop to glorify abusive relationships, fueling the gender division we already have today. Yeah, could be a psyop. I think it was a misinterpretation at its very core. I think it was a misinterpretation that got co-opted. That's what I think. Oh, thank you. Right. The point of all that twin flame stuff is to show yourself that you don't need anyone else. I mean, listen, if we want to talk about ChatGPT psychosis, there's no greater psychosis than the twin flame psychosis. Like that shit will get you delulu. I'll hear people saying stuff about the twin flame and I'm like, you what? And who? No. I'm like, and then you stayed and did it again 3 more times? No. And then they left you anyway? No. Every time. When you find the right one, you won't run or chase. I agree with that. Sounds like self-sacrifice. Well, that's what people pleasers do. Did you see the twin flame documentary? I did. It was pretty juicy. But honestly, people's regular twin flame stories are like juicier. But a lot of those people were like about to get arrested on that chasing the runner journey. You think it was peddled by grifters as a marketing tool? Oh, for sure. And it's the perfect example. This is the spiritual bypassing, right? Instead of saying, I have an abandonment wound, and this is why I'm making this relationship into more than it actually is. Instead, what if We are one soul that has been split and has found each other. And now we will run and chase until once we come together again, and then we're going to start the new earth. Yeah, that's a lot easier than I have a freaking abandonment wound and I'm projecting this relationship to be more important and more significant than it actually is. Because that sucks. It sucks to be like, I like this person more than they like me. That hurts. You said he got arrested twice in 6 years. It had nothing to do with the twin flames, though, right? You didn't get arrested because of twin flame stuff. Please tell me it ain't so. You just say you feel your husband's your home, and you don't know if you're soulmates or whatever, but we're definitely shared past lives together. I can see visions of them when we're intimate. It's crazy. People are saying to spill the tea. Oh my God. That's what I think, right? If we project so much onto our relationships, no, because the guy thought, oh, you thought the guy was your twin flame, but he was actually just abusive. No, I'm sorry to hear that. This is why this shit's dangerous. That's why it's dangerous, because this whole it puts so much pressure. Why can't people just love each other? And I do think it's beautiful. The soulmate thing is beautiful. There's people from our pasts that were former soulmates that are still soulmates, but it was not meant to be in that way, or it ran its course, or it's done. And that's okay, you know? But when the twin flame thing, or the Aubrey Marcus thing where Vylana was talking about how they had a past life in Egypt together and she didn't stay with him in the past life, so now she needs to stay with him in this life. When we start to get into a lot of things like that, it can really cloud our discernment of, is this still a good situation for me? Has this run its course? Is this still right? Just love and be kind to each other and leave people alone who want to be left alone, right? Well, yeah. You said, when did people bypass therapy and attach to a person? I mean, I get it though, because therapy kind of sucks, right? Therapy can be good. A lot of people benefit from it, but then also it's hard, right? Like, who wants to go to a therapist, tell them all their trauma for you to kind of not be the right match, and then you got to pay to see someone else and tell them all your trauma, and then might not be a right. It's hard. Dating is hard. Finding a therapist is like dating, right? Stars, that's more anxious attachment. Avoidant attachment is more used to neglect from parents, and they trust no one and open up to no one, right? So that's the other thing too, right? The avoidant probably does like the person. That's what I had struggled with. I'm not there now, but in the past, I had struggled with the avoidant attachment. You went through 4 therapists until you found a great one who understand your spiritual wielding. And that's what makes it hard, is, it is kind of like dating. You got to try out different people. You say therapy in the broader sense, not talk therapy. Yeah, that's true. Right. You said, turns out you're not schizophrenic, so therapy is meant to me. Yeah, right. When you had told me that in the past, and not to undiagnose you, but knowing you, I'm like, I don't know, girl. I think you're fine. I think you just said a couple of weird things in therapy. Oh, thank you. Your videos have amazing therapeutic info, by the way. How to get therapy when you know about past lives? Is it true if parents ignored the kids, they grow up being the chasers? No, not always. It can go either way. Okay. And then we'll end on this, right? Because the twin flame chaser runner thing is the same as the anxious avoidant, is also very similar to the empath and the narcissist, or the people pleaser and the narcissist, or the empath and the energy vampire. These dynamics are all very kind of similar, different versions, the way they play out, but similar, and they all have similar wounds. So when we're dating someone, they're a reflection of us. They're a mirror of who we are at that current point in life. So basically, when people are in this situation, it's like, oh, you're dating this person who's a mirror of you. And then you're like, how could this abusive person be a mirror of me? How could this narcissistic individual be a mirror of me? How could this runner who doesn't respect our love be a mirror of me? Well, they're not a mirror of your actions right now. They're a mirror of the frequency that you're on the wavelength you're on from the original wound. So this unhealed wound is not getting the needs met. There's many different ways that people don't get their needs met, right? Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's physical, sometimes there's many different ways and versions of not getting your needs met. So what happens is two children who didn't get their needs met, one learns to be an empath or a people pleaser or the chaser, right? Which is kind of basically, if I bend over backwards for someone, then I'll be needed, then I'll be loved. If I do things for people, then they won't leave me. If I say the right thing and play it right and I'm really gentle and never disagree with them, and they won't get upset at me, they won't leave, they won't hurt me. That is this one side of the cycle. The other side of the same wound, a different person will become a narcissist, an energy vampire, the runner, the anxious attachment, different versions. This person might say, the only way I'm going to get my needs met is to manipulate. And they're not thinking that. Manipulation, people think manipulators are masterminds. Manipulation is a survival tactic. It is one of the basic tactics. A puppy can manipulate. A dog can manipulate. A baby that is 2 months old can manipulate. Manipulation is doesn't mean it's evil, right? It just means to try. The word manu, right, is mani, like manicure. It's your hands. So it's like your hands are it's like you're trying to shape an outcome, is what manipulation is. So if we remove the fact that these are evil manipulator masterminds, and we go back to a child learned the only way to get their needs was to lie, deceive, pretend, guilt, shame, bully, these things, then we see that manipulation at the expense of others. So the people pleaser does it at the expense of themselves. The narcissist does it at the expense of others. And then these people end up in a relationship together. And then they're like, how am I mirroring this person? This person is not me. No, you guys actually are two different sides of the same coin. How did this person do this messed up thing to me in a relationship? I would never do that to somebody. Okay, well, what was the core wound? Not having the needs met, never going to be enough, not good enough. That's the thing that I've had with the cheaters. So I haven't had the narcissistic empath or people pleaser dynamic. My dynamic in my past relationships, which have been traumatic for me, has been the cheaters. And for me, I'm like, I would never cheat on someone. So how could I be mirroring this? Because I would never. This is so painful, disrespectful. Like I would never be me. So I, for years, couldn't understand how you said hate cheaters. Yeah, me too. Me too. Even when I hear about people cheating on other people, I'm triggered. I hear someone cheated on someone and I'm like, oh, it takes everything in me not to hate that person. But then I'm like, no. Let me come back to the core here. Why did I keep ending up with cheaters in the past? No longer. So why? Honestly, it comes back to different versions of the same wound, right? But these are self-worth wounds, right? A different form of a self-worth wound. So self-worth wound could be like not enough, not good enough, self-hatred, different versions of these. There's many different versions of self-worth wounds, but it's a self-worth wound. So two people have a self-worth wound which comes from the parents in some way or comes from the upbringing. Either they're never going to be good enough, or, neglect and feel unworthy of love, or, there's many different forms that this plays out. But we come back to a very simplified version of this is a self-worth wound. These people will then meet in adulthood and be two different sides of the same coin. One person feels deep down, secretly, mostly unconsciously in their shadow, that they are not worthy of love, or that they're never going to be, maybe even in some level, feel like nobody could ever love them like their parents. Because sometimes these people do have very loving parents. So maybe it's like nobody could love me the way that my parents did, or maybe their parents didn't love them, and it's like I am unlovable. And then another version of those. So whatever way this is playing out, these people will meet again and date each other in life later on, and the cheater will be like, well, nothing's ever enough. I'm never enough. So then they find ways to feel enough. So now this person can't give me what I need. So now I need to seek it from someone else because my void is not being filled and it makes me feel not enough. So I need to get this person or hook up with this person or date this person or have an affair to feel wanted again, because they need the want. I need to feel wanted. Then the person, which was my side of it, which was getting cheated on again and again in relationships, secretly felt that I was never going to be really fully loved by someone. So I was meeting with someone. So me feeling never enough to really fully be loved, feeling unlovable in a way. And then this person not feeling enough, that they need to keep trying to pull it from outside and being like, somebody needs to fill this. But this is the same wound. This is the not enough wound. And then so this happens in many different ways. Like the narcissist empath is a big common example. The cheating is a big common example. There's other versions of this, but what we have to really see is, what do we have you stay because you don't think you're enough. Exactly. And then that's the thing why a lot of people stay in the cheating relationships. You said I meant on the cheater's part. They always have a reason. You said, okay, so also on my podcast, my most recent episode with my ex-boyfriend, Jim Norton, who did cheat on me. He's the only one, though, that was grandfathered in. Everybody else who cheated on me after that was completely dead to me, and I never spoke to them again. I mean, maybe there was a little communication because shit went down, right? But no any other type of and it was very brief. If someone's going through psychosis, for example, you kind of have to still help a little bit at the end. But every other time. But what we talk about in that episode is he talks about kind of from a perspective of someone who cheated, like, what is it? And he says it's really just like this insatiable selfishness, that it's just very greedy, and it's just expecting somebody to fill this thing. And when it's got a little bit down from what you are trying to get from someone, you immediately try to get it from someone else. But you know that no one could ever give it to you 100%, because it's not somebody's job to give it to you 100%, to fill every void that you have. And then the second any type of feeling of need or want or desire or anything, instantly, if it's not filled, then you have to find somebody else. And this is why cheaters gonna cheat. I'm not saying that nobody stops cheating. I won't say that, because I do know people who've done that. Jim is one of them, and I'm very impressed with him. And I do have other people that I've known in my life who has cheated in many relationships and then stopped cheating. So I'm not saying that nobody does, but I'm gonna tell you it's rare, okay? Because cheaters gonna cheat, and a cheater will cheat in the beginning, they're gonna cheat in the end, and they're gonna cheat throughout. And I don't know how much they're gonna get caught, but they're gonna cheat. And That's what I'm saying. Cheater's going to cheat because that's what it is. Even if it's something, even just a little, they got to do it. It's an addiction. It is an addiction. It is an addiction. Grandfathered in, she says, yeah. You kept Jim around for his humor. You know, me and Jim are so close and we've been through so much together is what it is like we were friends before we dated. And then after we dated, we stayed friends for like, 15 years it's been. So we've been through a lot. We've been through relationships with other people and helped each other through like other breakups and different things like that. So you said dump a cheater, make them better for someone else. Oh, they're going to cheat on the next one. They're going to cheat on the next one. Dump a cheater, period. Feel sorry for the next one because they're going to cheat on them too. I guarantee it. Like I said, though, some don't. There will be a turning point for some. And for Jim, it was like turning like, I don't know, 50 something. If you guys watch Jim's new comedy special on YouTube, it's so good. And he has a whole bit on cheating. And he literally like does a whole bit on cheating. It's so funny. And he basically said the reason he doesn't cheat is because you get caught now. And he said technology got too good and that you'll get caught. So, and there is more to that. He loves Nikki so much and he's joking. And, of course, it's more than that. But obviously, it's a comedy special. But you guys should watch it. It's really funny. And he talks actually about the cheating and stuff on there too. Your ex seemed like she turned to a dead-eyed, soulless NPC out of nowhere. And it was not only painful, but creepy. Like you went into another reality and she didn't come with. It was still somewhere. Yeah, who knows, right? Sometimes then there's also this kind of timeline thing that happens with breakups. Oh, yeah. Now we got people cheating with AI. Sammy, thanks for bringing it back. Thanks for the callback to the actual point of this whole Tuesday Night Live. Okay. Well, we're coming to a point of 2 hours here. And we've gone so dang far off the topic. Yeah, the guy who proposed to the AI. Right. And that's cheating too. Okay. Cheating is an unhealed wound. Why is it harder to heal? Getting cheated on is a painful wound, but it's easier to heal than being the one who's cheating. Because getting cheated on, what you have to heal is understanding that it wasn't about you. That at the end of the day, people cheat because they want to, and they have a void within them that they're seeking outward, and they're looking for something in other people that you would never be able to give to them, because even giving them all the love still wasn't enough to fill their void. And it doesn't mean you're not enough. It means they inherently are operating on not enough and emptiness. So in some ways, it's easier to heal when you're the one that's been cheated on, because you can know, like, it wasn't because of me. It wasn't because I wasn't enough or good enough. It's them who's unhealed. Now, the person who does it, it's harder to heal, because one, the guilt of hurting another person. And, Jim talks about this in the podcast, and he's talked about this before, is that like cheating hurts the other person, but it hurts you as well, because you literally hurt the person you love and completely disrespect the person you love. And then you have to just move on with life with the shame and the guilt and pushing that down. So it is more painful to be the cheater, even though it doesn't seem like it. But it's because they hurt you, they hurt themselves. They're stealing things away from themselves. They're never filling it. And then they're just going to do it again to the next person. So it sucks. I mean, honestly, pity for the cheaters. Yeah, and then people have a hard time admitting they're the bad guy. So they stay stuck in guilt and shame and blame as a mask. They put blame as a mask. You weren't there. You didn't spend enough time. You didn't give me this. I didn't have this need met. I didn't you weren't giving me this. You weren't that. It's a fucking mask of blame to cover the guilt and shame of completely violating and disrespecting the person that you love and made a commitment to. So yeah, preach. Yeah, we got there. Replica has a lot of people with AI companions, both men and women. Mm. He brought up a perspective of cheating I'd never thought of. It was a great episode. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it is like an addict on drugs. And it's something that doesn't get talked about because people really. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the super chat. It really does like kind of tap into things that don't get talked about with cheating much, right? A lot of times with cheating, people kind of are like, well, the needs weren't getting met. And it's like, it's nobody's job to fulfill your baseline needs. That has to be filled on your own. Now your cup gets to overfill, or you get to be more with another partner, and people can fill in blanks and help with things and help heal things. But if you're always in the deficit, no one's going to anything that. If, a person can't truly be alone, then what they'll probably end up doing, I've known people like this, for example, female cheaters, because, female cheaters, um, obviously, I have a special place in hell for male cheaters because that's what's happened to me. But I have to acknowledge to this other side of it that a lot of times female cheaters are weirdly let off the hook in some way of like, oh, women only cheat because they say like men cheat out of opportunity and women cheat because their needs are not getting met. Whether that's fully true or not, it kind of gets, like, shaped in this way that, like, women only cheat for their needs not getting met, and maybe that's true, but it's not people's job to fill your needs, but some people that I've known that have, and not to give too much detail, but, a friend of mine, uh, had done the cheating, and now she got a lot of kids. She kinda forced out of it. A little bit forced to not be doing that. Because now it's hard to do that, right? You don't got all the freedom that you once had. So, men and women that cheat will find any excuse necessary. I agree. I mean, like, kind of in society, that's kind of what's like a general consensus that we hear on like podcasts and stuff. And really, it's the same deficit. People who are doing it out of opportunity, there's a deficit in themselves. People who are doing it because their needs aren't getting met, there's a deficit in themselves. If your needs are not getting met, then communicate and break up and leave. It's twisted how society perceives the difference between men and women cheaters. Yeah, you're right. If you're unhappy in the relationship to the point where you feel you need to cheat, then leave the damn relationship. Exactly. I agree. Then just end it. Or you guys could do radical monogamy. I hear that is going really well for some people. Or you could get super clever about it and cheat as a group and get your doctor on a podcast to co-sign it all. Okay, I'm done. We've gone completely off the rails of this AI chat, but that's okay. The spiritual narcissism seems to be the way to go if you want a free pass. Yes. Loverships. Yes. Yes, loverships. Okay, guys, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching. Like I said, join the Substack. We are going to, last Sunday of the month, have class 4, which will be around manifestation, but we're going to do something a little bit more unique than just like, I'm not the biggest fan of just your typical manifestation. So we're going to break it down in a way that is more like we're getting to the core of stuff. And oh, thank you. So next week's Tuesday Night Live, I might do one pre-recorded, or I might not do one at all because it's the night before my wedding. Yeah. It's my last night as a virgin. So you guys, yeah. So, yeah, so we may or may not do a Tuesday Night Live next week. And thank you. Well, so appreciate you. Thank you and congratulations on the money. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are sweet. And like I said, check out the Substack. Check out the book. And if you guys were thinking about doing QHHT sessions, consider looking at my schedule because there's not going to be anything after September 1st. I'm going to be getting settled in Louisiana, and I'm going to need some time to recoup. So I have some dates in July and a couple dates in August, and then that's that. And the MOONBOOK, you have the MOONBOOK. Yay. So I have my period right now. So the MOONBOOK, I just used mine yesterday. And it's very, very, very amazing and helpful. So thank you. And I guess while we're at it, right? I mean, why not? We have my dream journal, the Lunar Oracle. This is to help you remember your dreams and keep track of them. And then we have our Domestique Tarot book. So this one teaches you how to, oh, hi, I miss you too. And I miss your bread. And then we have the Domestique Tarot, which teaches you the basics of tarot and then gives you 3 card spreads. Where have I been? Oh, I've been here. I've been here every dang Tuesday for the last 2 years. We've exceeded 100 episodes. So it's been over 2 years of Tuesday Night Lives. Oh, your Domestique Tarot is on the way. Oh, beautiful. I love it. It's a very helpful tool. Ooh, Cycle Sisters. Yes. All right, everybody. Check Eden's freezer this weekend. She's going to have 50 loaves. Oh, good. Yes. There will be bread. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for being here. See you guys. Were you talking about people addicted to spiritual AI? Yes. Go check the YouTube replay if you want to go back and hear what we had to say about it. But we really touched a lot of topics. Okay. All right. Bye. Love you guys. See you soon.